With Madden 24 just a few days away, it's time to talk about 5 big features that will not be in the upcoming Madden game. I do this video every year because not everybody is up to date on everything that was added to the game and what wasn't added, so sometimes people get the game and they're surprised that certain features still aren't back in the game yet. Now I am happy to say over the past few years I've been able to take some of the things off this list, so maybe these videos are working slowly but surely. A couple of years ago we were able to take assistant coaches for franchise off the list. This year we no longer have to talk about mini games or refs as they were finally added back, but there's still a decent amount of things that have not been added back yet, and I'm going to go over the 5 biggest ones right now so that you're not surprised when you get the game this year. Number 1, without a doubt, is create a team. That is the biggest feature that is still left out there that has not been added back from the game. We have not had a create a team in this game since Madden 12. That is well over 10 years, and at this point it's getting a little ridiculous. Now they did update the relocation teams and franchise this year, so they did throw us a little bit of a bone there. They gave us a whole new uniform set, new helmets, and new cities to relocate to kind of hold us over. But at the end of the day, it's 2023. Every major sports game has a creative team. It's a staple. It's expected in 2023, and this is something they had in the game back in 2004 or 2005. And I know the NFL has some restrictions on what you can edit and what you can't edit, and I know that they're very particular about these types of customization things, and they would have to oversee a bunch of custom logos and things like that. I don't think we would ever get the ability to just upload our own custom logos like you can do in other games, because the NFL is just way too picky and they're more than likely never signing off on that. However, we could get like 100 custom logos like we had back in the day, give us 5, 6, 7 jersey options that we can tinker and edit with, give us different helmet options and stuff like that, and that would be good enough. That would be fun for people. It would give them a lot more to do in the game. It would bring a lot more immersion and fun to the game. I don't know when this is coming back. I do think at some point we will get something like this back, but it isn't going to be in Madden 24, unfortunately. Now really quickly, I do want to mention that once again, we are sponsored by Underdog Fantasy. They are a huge supporter of the channel. If you like playing fantasy sports, or if you're like me and you like to dabble in the sports betting, they have a really fun pick'em game where you can put a couple player props together, and if they hit, you can win some money. Now, if you sign up using my promo code RAY, R-A-Y, they'll actually double your first deposit up to $100. So you can get $100 free to play around with, so why not try it out if it's something you're into, and it does help support the channel. Number 2 on the list, without a doubt, has to be new announcers. This is one of the things I've seen complained about the most over the past few years, and more every year I'm seeing more complaints about this because we've had the same announcers for I don't know how long now. I can't even remember how long it's been since there was another announce crew. It might be like Madden 16, 15, somewhere around there, and it's just getting stale. Now I understand their reasoning for not updating this so frequently because they already have such a large library of audio recorded from these guys and they can add on to it each year, but the little bit that they're able to add on each year does not make it feel new. It just feels stale. We can predict the lines that are coming before they do, and if you start over, you're gonna have less lines in year 1, you're gonna have less commentary in that first year, but it would still feel so much better than what we have now because it would at least seem fresh, it would seem new, and it's one of the things you hear every single game. So when people are saying Madden's the same game every year, while I don't believe that, I think certain things like the announce crew are a big reason why people say it, because when you hear the same lines over and over for years and you're gonna hear that every game you're playing, it makes the game feel very similar on the field because nothing is different enough in terms of presentation and visuals. So I think it's time to just bite that bullet, give us new announcers going forward, and honestly, you should be adding different announce crews to the game at this point anyway because it's 2023. Give the franchise mode players some sideline reporter action. Give them maybe a separate announce crew that you have some lines recorded for the primetime games and you only use them there. Branch it out a little bit more, make it feel more like real life, because at the end of the day, people that play franchise mode want that. They want it to feel more like real life, and when you have the same announce crew every year and you can predict their lines, it just doesn't feel like that. Hey, if you're still here at this point of the video and you haven't subscribed yet, you might as well go ahead and subscribe because you're basically already a part of the family anyway, whether you like it or not. If you're still here at this point, I'm trying to reach 1 million subs one day. I definitely need your help on that journey there, and it would be greatly appreciated. Number 3 on the list, historic teams. This is another one of those things that more and more each year I'm seeing people bring up more often. I wasn't seeing it as much 6-7 years ago, but the last few years people have been talking about this non-stop. People want historic teams back in the game, and with the NFL there's so many legendary teams over the long NFL history that we would love to play with in the game, and we can do this in games like NBA 2K, and it's a lot of fun. Now granted, I understand this is a little bit more difficult from a licensing perspective than in NBA 2K because the teams are much larger in the NFL, and even when we did have this in older Madden games, if I remember correctly, a lot of times there were some players on the team that were still generic because realistically you're not going to be able to license every member of every legendary team. But if you can license the big players, which a lot of them you already have the license to due to Ultimate Team, and you can go out and get the license to maybe a handful more guys, you can bring historic teams, or at least halfway historic teams, to the game, and people would love to play with them. You could use them and play now with your friends, you can use them in franchise mode, and it's just another one of those things that just makes the game fun. And furthermore, you should be able to add legend players into drafts and franchise mode. I should be able to go draft Randy Moss and play a full career with him, or draft Peyton Manning, because you know why? It's fun, and video games should be fun first, and it's just another thing that would keep people coming back, keep them more immersed, and give them more ways to play. But if you're looking for that out of Madden 24, that feature, it will not be there. Number 4 on the list, create a play. This is another thing that I've seen getting brought up a little bit more lately. People are starting to make more noise about this because we had this in some older Madden games and it was a ton of fun. Now let me say, I don't think this should be allowed in online use because people are 100% going to figure out how to break this and just create some broken plays. But for offline, and especially for franchise, this would be an awesome feature to have. A lot of people love creating plays. They want to be the coach. They want to create unique offenses. This should be allowed. I remember back in older Maddens, sometimes I would sit around for hours on end just literally creating plays. Just the craziest plays I could think of, because you know why? Once again, it was fun. And you would have some people that would spend hours on your game to just simply create plays. You would have people on your game longer, and it gives the game more replayability, especially for franchise mode players. You want to keep people on your game longer, give them more fun things to do that will keep them immersed. This is one of them. I think this one is reasonable and should be back at some point, but it won't be in Madden 24. Number 5 on the list, a proper halftime show. Now, Madden does have a halftime show, but when we're talking about a real halftime show, we all think back to the same game, ESPN NFL 2K5. This is one of the main, and I mean main, reasons that game still gets brought up to this day. Forget everything else about it, the halftime show is what people by far remember the most, because for the time it was groundbreaking, it was fun. But if you really look back at it now, when you were seeing replays during halftime shows or post-game shows, they were the same few replays over and over, just in different teams' uniforms. But back then it was groundbreaking and it seemed awesome. But nowadays, you could create something even better than that. But the fact that Madden doesn't even have something that's that good in terms of a halftime show, it still makes that, even though it's dated, look like something that is groundbreaking, because we haven't seen it in Madden yet. I do think it's about time to make the halftime show better. Even if you're not showing replays from other games, the halftime show could 1,000,000% be way better than the lackluster, bare bones thing that it is now. And again, it's another one of those things that keep people immersed and keep them coming back and playing the game. Now, if you want to know about franchise mode and what features were added this year, make sure you check out this important video right here on the screen.